had a lot of fun, and we are back again to do it with a new bunch of lovely ladies. Tonight we have Beck, Celeste, Mish, Ashley and Michelle who will be joining us and chatting about their experience and their journey through this FIFO lifestyle. So first up we have Ash, and we are chatting to Ashley live from WA as well, I believe.
Yes, hello.
Awesome, thanks for joining us. Let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in this FIFO lifestyle, and whether it's you or your partner that is going away.
Yeah, so I have been with my partner now for 10 years almost. It will be 10 years in December, and he's been FIFO ever since we met. And so initially when we met, I thought there's no way that this could be our forever life, but now that it has turned out that way, we actually love it. Works so well for us. We have 1.5 kids. I'm pregnant with our second now, and it's due in 3 weeks time, so there's going to be a whole new juggle. But he actually gets 4 months off when the baby's here, because I have my own business as well. So I'll be going back to work and he'll be the primary carer for the first 4 months. So he gets 4 months off FIFO.
That's awesome. When you don't hear that often, it's usually the wives that stay at home. So that's beautiful. That'd be very relieving for you. It'll be fun to have that time off as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, I work from home as well, so we will be here as like a family unit, but
okay.
I keep telling him it's not a holiday. It's like you're here to be the primary carer.
That's awesome. So what business do you do?
So I run a business networking, like events and membership community here in Perth. So it's probably one of the biggest ones in Perth. It's all female-based networking, and I've been running that now for I think 5 or 6 years. So and Nick's been amazing with he's not very business savvy. He's like a typical FIFO guy, but he's so good at listening to my business problems and giving me his thoughts and things like that. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome when you have a supportive partner. It makes everything so much easier, doesn't it? You don't need to argue with them about, no, it's going to work. Just trust me. Just give me time. When they're so supportive, it just makes everything much more smoother and helps you get to the goals that you want to much faster with someone by your side.
Yeah, and he's so good when he's back as well. When he knows when he's back that he has to look after Kyla so I can get some work done, and it's
catch up.
Works hard.
Yeah, awesome. So what do you do when hubby is away? What do you do with your time besides the small business that you have?
So pretty much that. Just my small business, looking after my 2-year-old. I mean, she's in daycare 2 days a week, and then with my mother-in-law 1 day a week. So and luckily I can really just work around when she's with me, and when she's not with me, because I can just do a lot of the work from home. I'm really only out for events 2 or 3 times a month. So I don't have a lot of time for, say, hobbies or things like that, but I do like to try and make sure that I maintain my own social life. Nick and I have a lot of the same friends now. We have same friend circle, so it's nice that when he's home we can see them as well. So it's really split between family time, friends time, and work time. And right now it's very much work time, so I'm trying to get everything sorted before the baby comes. And then when the baby's here, which is November, it will be really good timing that I can just kind of take the foot off the pedal with the business and just focus on family time for a few months.
And so what does Ash do for me time?
Me time. Oh, I love to go out for a massage, or I've actually booked in a pregnancy massage next week. I love to exercise and go to the gym, or I usually go for a run, but I'm too big now. I can't. The impact is I just can't do it. So I can't wait to get back into that, and just taking small pockets of time, like I do my meditation each morning as well, as long as I get up before Kyla. So just little moments of me time throughout the day. It's not a massive, it's just any chance that I get, just trying to be mindful and do the right things that make you feel good.
Yeah, and all the little things add up.
Yeah, they do, don't they? And you realize if you haven't done it for a while, you're like, oh yeah, this is why I'm starting to have mental struggles.
Yeah, it's like a child. If they don't have their nap for the day, they start getting frustrated and having tantrums and stuff. I guess it works the same for adults. When we don't get our little bits and pieces of me time, everything starts to build up, and we take our frustrations off take our frustrations out on everyone around us. So that's not good. So we definitely need to start taking little bits of time here and there for ourselves, even if it is, you know, a longer warm shower when you're washing your hair. That's what I like to do as my me time. I like to stay in the shower for like an hour and wash my hair.
I love that.
It eventually finds you.
Yeah, yes, I love that. When Nick gets home from work, when he flies in, I try and take like that night once Kylie's in bed to go and like have a bath or something like that, and just like
just
at least
chill.
I know even if she wakes up, she's taken care of. So
what is it that you love most about this industry?
I just love that he gets the full week off when he's home, you know, like a lot of people are like, oh, it must be so hard that he's away, you know, misses out on so much, but actually he probably gets more time to spend with Kyla. He got the 4 months off when she was born as well, that straight time. And, you know, he gets 7 days in a row with her that he gets to spend, you know, all with her. And like if he was working, and if he was working in Perth, then it would just be like mornings, like, and bits of night time, and then the weekends. So yeah, I just love that he gets that full week off. And yeah, it's a juggle when he's gone, but when he's here, we can be a real family unit, and it's just really nice work. Yeah,
and it's nice to not, like when he is here, it's quality time, it's focused time. You don't have to worry about going to bed early because he's got work the next day, or he doesn't come back grumpy because it was a shitty work day. And he doesn't have to worry about bringing any work home. If you're a small business owner, you know what it's like, you never switch off. So it's just nice for them to come home and just completely relax and go to a spontaneous trip to the zoo, go to the movies if you feel like it, sleep in, have a movie night, anything. So that's definitely what I love most about the Fifo lifestyle as well, is the flexibility and quality time when they do come home. And a lot of 9 to 5 families, they don't understand that. They can only see it from, well, the bigger picture to them is that you don't get to see them every night. It's like, no, we don't, but we do have, like you said, a full 7 days of 24 hours instead of 3 hours every now and then.
Yeah, and like you said, with the holidays as well, you know, we get to go on holidays midweek and it's cheaper then as well, and it's less busy. So there's like so many benefits. Yeah,
exactly. So what do you think, though, because they're great benefits, what do you think you struggle most with in the Fifo industry?
Struggle with? I would say probably when he's away, and like I have something come up that's urgent at work or something, then I need to find a carer at the last minute. So luckily I do have family support around me, so that's really good. But yeah, if you know, like if she's sick, or nobody wants to look after your sick kid unless it's the mum or dad. So it's really just me, and you know, I've had to cancel a couple of events that I've been going to just because she has been sick. So that's probably the hardest thing, if they get sick and then the hubby's away.
And I think that's why a lot of people say that it's the tribe, the community that you have that help you survive the Fifo life. Because if you had no one, you'd be screwed.
It would be. One of my best friends, she's from Melbourne, and she was living here when her two ones were very little, and her hubby was Fifo, and she had no family here. Oh, I don't know how she did it. She's gone back to Melbourne now.
And I think a lot of families are going through that because they had to relocate during the whole COVID that situation. I think last year it was. So a lot of East Coast families relocated to WA, left their families and their support network to come and be in WA so they could see hubby on his off swing, because he wasn't allowed to go back to the East Coast. So that's like a big shock to the system for everyone involved from the East Coast relocated to WA. So yeah, that's crazy. But you did attend our launch, and have you read our book yet?
Yeah, I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through. Yes, 2 of my friends were in it. I was so proud of them.
Yeah, cool. Who were the girls that you know in the book?
Shalila, and I know Shalila through my husband, because my husband and her partner are really good friends. And then Erica, and I know her through my business network. She comes to a lot of the events there. So
yeah, cool. She was on last night.
Erica was? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
We interviewed her last night. Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts on the book?
Pardon?
What are your overall thoughts on the book as a Fifo wife? Was it information that you appreciated? Could you resonate with a lot of it?
Yeah, I think I resonated with a piece of everyone's story that I've read so far. But I also really love the diversity, not just shining a light on like the negative or the positive, but just the whole range, because there is, it's not all amazing and it's not all bad either. So I just love how you highlight that in each different story.
Yeah. And everyone has different experiences, but then they're still so similar. So that's what I love most about the book, and tying everyone's stories together.
Yeah, I love it. You did amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for chatting with us today. I'll do my wave.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
I'll
you.
stay on and listen to everyone else.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's need to, what am I feeling next? Okay, the next lady that I'm doing is gonna unpin. Cool. So this is my first time. There we go. Yeah. And now we're going to Michelle. Let's get Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining us. So Michelle is an author in our book as well. So do you want to let us know a bit about yourself and what the title of your chapter was called?
I am a mum of 3 beautiful children, aged 2, 4, and 6. And my husband is the Fifo worker of the family. And we have been involved in Fifo since before we had kids. But I have been, I guess, raised in a Fifo family. My dad worked away from home. So he started doing that when I was a teenager. And then my brother was working over in WA as well. So I've kind of grown up with Fifo living, and it was a very different experience when my own partner, prior to us getting married, started working away from home. And it just kind of, it wasn't too unfamiliar to us. So it just kind of, we went with the flow. Now the chapter of my chapter of the book is The Distant Wife, from memory. And it tells a story of how the Fifo roles, the differing Fifo roles changed the dynamics within our relationship. And there's pros and cons to our story of the Fifo life for us. And ultimately how I grew my own set of confidence as a part of being involved in the Fifo industry as well. Last year, throughout COVID, hubby left our Queensland state a week before all the borders statewide and nationally were shut. And he was set for WA for his first WA stint. That was in March. We saw him in September. And it was tough.
Yeah, that must be very tough.
So we saw him for about a week, and then he went back to WA, and then he came back at Christmas time, and he made the choice to not go back because he couldn't stand being away from his family for that long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been rough and tumble for us throughout the whole experience, but ultimately it's not something that I would probably change necessarily for us, but it's certainly not for faint-hearted people, I guess.
Yeah.
You have a certain kind of grit towards yourselves.
Yeah, resilience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why did you think it was important to share your story?
I guess because from my experience, a lot of people would say to me things like, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't let my husband do that. I couldn't not see him. And for me, first of all, it's not a matter of letting him do that. He makes his own decisions. If that's what he wants to do, I'm going to support him, whether I think it's the right decision or not. But I feel like you've got to prepare yourself, and you've got to have some of these conversations beforehand. Like, what's it going to look like when other half is away? What are your expectations from it, as well as what are they expecting to get from it? Because there's got to be compromise in it as well. Like for communication, for example, we had to set very clearly that he'd set alarms on his phone of when he was able to phone us to say good morning, good evening, because the time difference made it quite challenging for him to see his young kids, and they needed that connection as well. So there's a lot of things that need to be kind of discussed beforehand, so that you know where you stand on certain things that you take for granted in a non-Fifo lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's things that people wouldn't even think about, like setting an alarm. That's a great idea. When you're away, 12-hour shift, you get off the shift and you're like, just can't be bothered doing anything. So you just want to chill, relax, go to sleep. But then the little kids at home, they don't understand that you've just done a 12-hour shift. They just want to talk to daddy.
That's right.
So yeah, that's a great way to remember for him to contact the kids.
Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything that you would suggest the industry do to change the way they support families? Maybe if that was through communication or how everyone's been separated during this COVID border closure. What would you suggest, or what would you wish that somebody did and stepped up when you were going through that separation?
Yeah. I wish that we knew what these phone network services were going to be like at the varying sites throughout WA, because that was incredibly frustrating and challenging. And I think, like you said, at the end of a 12-hour shift, the last thing that hubby wanted to deal with was crappy reception. So when he couldn't see the kids or talk to the kids, he was really frustrated by that because the reception wasn't good enough, and he'd just get frustrated and angry, and it's not the place for him to be isolated and angry. So knowing what the phone services can be like, what carrier you need to be with, or even having the ability to have some sort of an NBN connection that workers can use to make these phone calls where there aren't technical glitches. Also having the supports in place to occupy their time themselves on their days off or on their step down shifts, if they're changing from day shift to night shift, having engaging activities to occupy their time that don't involve alcohol. Yeah,
absolutely. And when our story came out and the newspaper article came along with that, we received a lot of backlash, but we also were able to start this chain of reaction where activities were starting to be implemented into these workspaces. So that was a great job for all of us. I'm sure we all felt really proud that we were able to be a part of that movement to give the guys and girls working away something more purposeful and meaningful when they are away, instead of drinking alcohol. Yeah, I guess with our story, it shows a bit of the mental health side of things as well, that our family has been kind of victim to a mental health crisis ongoing as well, and where the use of alcohol on site as a wind down tool, almost that catalyst to help relax, and that routine it had carried home. So in his time at home, our lives continued. I still work a 9-to-5 job. Our kids still go to daycare. So he was home alone, which was great for him. Obviously, I felt he needed the time to rest, recuperate. Little did I know that once I left, he'd go down to the fridge and he'd crack a beer, and that was it. Like, that's what he did for his day. He drank. And then the kids had come home all excited to see daddy, but daddy's in no place or state to actually have anything to do with them. So it's really challenging, because obviously it causes a lot of tension and friction in the home front as well. But it really does stem from the workplace as well. Like, if you don't have anything else to do with your time, you do what you know. Yeah. And it's a very heavy drinking culture in Australia, full stop. But then to be isolated with nothing else to do and nowhere else to go, it's the easiest option. Not always the greatest option, but it is the easiest option. That's right. So, having said that, I know you said that now he's back. Has he kind of cut ties with that? What would you call that? His pattern of just going to the fridge and drinking, or some days? Yeah. Some days are better than others. I think since he didn't go back to Fifo industry this year so far, but he's gotten some more insight. He's taken the time to sit back and reflect upon the previous 12 months and from his perspective, how damaging it was to him. There was a lot of blame on other people, premiers, the Prime Minister, all this sort of stuff. There's a big blame game for him before he can sit back and actually think about the changes that he can make. And being an occupational therapist myself, in working within children and mental health as well, I often have to take a step back myself and educate him a little bit on there's things that you can do to change, and there's things that you can't change, and you've got to be accountable for the things that you can change. And most recently, he has started to be a bit more insightful about those sorts of things, that he can make the immediate change, but he's got to actually see things through as well, and that can be the hard part. Yeah, and just changing a habit as well. It takes a while to get out of that Headspace.
Yeah.
But speaking of Headspace, how do you think that the mind sites help those working away with their mental space?
From my husband's experience, I don't think he ever reached out to or sought any help for mental health or anything like that. I think, I don't know whether it's that he didn't know what options were out there for him, or whether it was, I don't want to be seen as that person. I think it's something that needs to be done privately and as anonymously as possible, but also made well aware that you're not going to be victimized. You're not going to be, your work is not going to be impacted. Like, you're not going to be not offered shifts or offered the same opportunities as everyone else if you speak up that, hey, I need some help.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times workers are afraid to speak up, especially with injuries, because they don't want to be seen as that person.
Yes.
They don't want to be the one that's picked on, or just it gets a little rough out there for them. And unfortunately, that's just the industry, isn't it? So you have to be tough to be at home and do the home gig, and tough to be out there as well.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and just being so open with everything. Even in the book, you were so vulnerable and so just really open with what you said. And I think a lot of women really appreciated how honest you were and how raw you were. So thank you so much.
Not a problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you. You're to my way. All right. Next up, we have Mish, which is Pin Mish. Hi, welcome to the stage.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So Mish is an author in our book, which I actually haven't put on screen yet. Twins. Cool. So Mish's chapter is called The Grateful Wife. So Mish, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been a Fifo wife for.
Yeah, so I'm Mish. I've been married to my husband for 7 years, but we've been together for almost 13. We have 2 boys who are 5 and 2, and we're pretty, I'd say, fresh-ish to the Fifo lifestyle. We've only been in it for just over a year as a family unit, but then I've been a Fifo kid my whole life. So I think from the age of 5, when we moved here to Perth, till I moved out of home at 23, my dad had done Fifo that whole time, and he was still doing it even when I left home. So I just, I think it's just, I don't know any different, really.
Yeah. That's all you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what industry is your husband in?
So he started in construction. He's an electrician. He started in construction and now he's in underground mining. We were really lucky, and within a year of him jumping into the industry, we went from a 2-1 roster to an 8 and 6.
Oh, wow.
So it's been really amazing, and it's a game changer. The 8 and 6 is a real game changer.
Yeah, it really, because sometimes when because my husband used to be on a 3-week on, 3-week off, because he was working offshore. So the 3 weeks when he's back home, obviously that's great, that's wonderful. When he's away, after that second week, it really gets tedious. It's okay, time's up. And then because you're offshore, just so many factors change, the helicopters or whatever it is, and then you're like, okay, he's coming home tomorrow. It's like, oh, we've got a couple more days out here, and you're like,
I take my hat off to anyone who endures long rosters, because it's hard. It can get hard. When I was doing the 2-1, day 10, day 11, I was really ready for him to come home.
So how do you juggle your life with kids, work, socializing, and having a Fifo husband? How do you do it?
I'm pretty lucky. I've got a really, really strong support network. So I have my parents, obviously, they're both retired, so they can really help out. I've got my 2 sisters who are also Fifo wives. So we manage to work around each other when it comes to looking after the kids. And then my in-laws as well. My mother-in-law is really great at helping out with the kids, and so is my father-in-law. So it's just a matter of, it really is just having those people to rely on. And that's, I think I stressed in my chapter, sometimes people are they might feel guilty asking for help, even if it's just to go out with girlfriends or something. But at the end of the day, that's how I fill my cup. I love socializing and catching up with friends. And so I think I kind of just, realize there's no, you shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to have an hour or 2 to yourself. If your tribe's there to help you, then call on them, because you do the same for them. So I think it's just shifting that mindset. So that's, and then that's really what it is. If I have to sit here and say how I manage life, it's because I have a really, really great support system, and I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of women, they want to, and we spoke about this yesterday, is that they want to be known as Miss Independent. So they want to be able to do everything on their own, just to say, just to show the doubters that say, oh, how can you do that on your own? And once you start showing them that you can do it on your own, you can't stop doing it, because then they'll be like, oh no, she's failing, or that's what you think they're thinking, but they're actually not. Everyone is actually wanting to help you, especially your tribe. They want you to reach out to them, because the last thing they want is for you to fall down a spiral of a bad mental state, and then it's harder to get you out of. So they'd rather support you from the beginning when you're kind of feeling a bit on the fence about, you know, your emotions, and help you from there. And if we just started to be okay with accepting help or asking for help, that's the biggest thing. I think people are too afraid or too embarrassed to ask for help. So it's definitely something that we really need to make okay.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree.
And so you said that your mindset is your strongest tool, and that's what you based your chapter on. So do you want to chat a bit more about how others can put their mind in a better state to get through all these kind of trials and tribulations that we have as a FIFO wife?
Yeah, so my chapter in the book was The Grateful Wife. So that's pretty telling of, I guess, my mindset. I think because I grew up in a family where my dad was FIFO and my parents, so my dad moved to the Pilbara from Croatia when he was like 18, came, you know, classic story, came over on a boat with, you know, $10 in his pocket, you know, did all that. So, and then just by looking at the life that mum and dad have built to now where they are, and all the sacrifices they've made along the way, has really changed my mindset to just be so grateful and appreciative of what we have here. Because if I think about the life that they could have had, or the life that I could have had, it just makes you really sit back and think, wow, like if I just appreciate the little things like a roof over my head, it just makes all those little minor things that might seem like an inconvenience, they just don't spiral out of control and become like a huge thing. And I get sometimes things can feel like that, and it's totally fine to sometimes explode, because I definitely have those moments. But I think having that mindset just kind of helps you snap back quicker to just realizing that it was just a little thing, and, you know, it's happened, it's done, and you just go forward. So I think it's just, if it's just the little things, you know, if you just wake up in the morning and you just think, wow, like this is great, it's a really sunny day, or how beautiful is the weather today, or, you know, my kid didn't wake up last night, this is, you know, going to be a great day. But yeah, I think it's just little things like that. So, and that I feel has helped me adjust to being a stay-at-home worker, FIFO wife.
Yeah. So just focusing on the positive and not dwelling so much on the negative.
Yeah, definitely. Like I will always try to find something positive about any situation, no matter how terrible it might be. I'll always try to focus on my mind going somewhere just to get some positive out of it. So
yeah, and that's awesome. And I think the way you portray yourself as well, and you're so social, it's because you are such a positive person. You're really fun to be around. So you're So you said that you've been in this FIFO journey for over 20 years, really, because you grew up in it. Do you think it's had any effects on the way you see life now? If you had a partner that wasn't in FIFO, so he obviously hasn't been in FIFO this whole time, are you finding it easier that he's in FIFO, or would you prefer him to not be in FIFO?
No, I definitely like, for me, it's like, it's been a really positive change for our whole family. So Chris had his own business previously, and he was working really hard and getting home really late. And when he was home, he was doing invoices, and it just wasn't fun. And he was stressing because he's such a hard worker that if he wasn't working, he was stressing, but if he was working too hard, he was stressing. Whereas now, like as soon as we made that change, now when he's home, like he's home, he's present, he can help out with me. He was just home the week previous to this, and we just had 3 days where we just chilled and we didn't have anything to do. And I couldn't tell you the last time we've actually really had that, because when we transitioned into the FIFO lifestyle, he was still running his business, so we still had a few jobs to finish off. So he was home for a week, but then he was working like, you know, 3 or 4 days out of that week. And so now we've really hit that point where we're really seeing the benefits of it. And we will never, like, he will never, even he says it as well, we'll never go back. But this is it now. So I just feel like I guess with my history, I was destined for it, maybe.
Yeah, it's in your blood.
It is, yeah, it really is.
So I wonder if your two boys will also go into the industry when they're older. One to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because like my brother as well, he's in the industry too. So it's just like my dad has had this, you know, this huge effect on us, and yeah, but wouldn't change it. It's been really great for us.
That's awesome. So you've also written a book as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, just to let people know that that's coming out as well?
Yeah, so I guess another bonus to the FIFO lifestyle is that I got to contribute to the Fifo Wives Tales book. And on the back of that, I saw the call out from KMD for children's books. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And yeah, lo and behold, I am publishing a children's book that's coming out soon. We're ready for pre-orders. And it's called Do You Ever Wonder What Your Pets Do at Home? So I have this dream, I guess, where I'd like to create a series of wonder books for kids. And yeah, I think it was just time where, even though I work part-time, I just needed something for myself, and I wanted to do something creative. So yeah, I guess I saw that opportunity and I went for it, and I'm very grateful for it.
I love it. I love it. And it's such a cute book. I'm so excited to get it in people's hands as well.
Well, great to you. If it wasn't for yours and Karen's help, I would be. I say thank you.
No. You're welcome. It's our pleasure. And thanks for chatting with us today. Thank you for sharing your story in the book as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll move on to the next person.
Thanks, Yasmin.
Thank you. All right. Who was next? Celeste. Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having me on today to share.
Well, thanks for joining us live in Margaret River. Stunning.
Yeah.
What is it? A little town of wine. Is that what you guys are known for?
Yeah.
And the chocolate.
Surfing, wine. Yeah.
The Rocky Road chocolate at Margaret River Chocolate Factory. Divine.
That place, you just leave feeling sick every time.
But you still go back for more free samples.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So let's introduce you. Celeste, welcome to our stage, and thank you for joining us today. Do you want to give us a brief little intro about yourself, how long you've been in the industry, and whether you're the stay-at-home partner or if you work away?
Yeah, cool. No worries. So I am the partner that stays at home. I've been a stay-at-home mum now for 5 years, and I have worked in mining myself before. I lived in the Pilbara about 15 years ago. 15? No, because that would have made me 20. It must have been 10 years ago before I moved to Margaret River. And I lived up there for about 5 years and worked in oil and gas. I loved it. It was my way to save money and go to Europe. So I kept going back over there for summer. And in that time, I met my husband now. So he was working at Sino Steel, and he now works in iron ore. So he's been in the industry for 15 years. So we've both worked in the industry. And he's now on a 2-2. We loved it. We did love the FIFO life for years and talked about how good it was for our family. And just recently, we've got to a stage where we're both getting super burnt out. So yeah, we're at that point where we're reassessing everything now. And I didn't think we'd get to that point, but you know, we had big goals to retire him really young. And so that's where we're at now. We're kind of just reassessing everything. At the moment, he's having some time off. And
yeah, well, that's good. Sometimes you just need to sit back and recharge and take a look at the picture again and reassess your goals and plans and direction. But yeah, it's good to recharge. So you've got 2 kids, is that correct?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids, a 5-year-old girl and a 2.5-year-old boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how do they quite understand? Yeah, probably the older one more. Does she understand that daddy's going away for work and then he comes back? Does she miss him?
Yeah, she does. It's getting quite hard now with the kids. She gets to the point where she's so upset she doesn't want to see him on FaceTime and gives him the cold shoulder. And when he leaves now, they're both screaming at the door and I'm crying because they're crying. And it's before it was fine when they were younger. I guess they didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, it's getting harder. And I know that that's really hard for him. So but we sort of just explained to the kids, like, you know, every time we're out, because we live a pretty frugal lifestyle, we're always out dining and, you know, buying things. And, you know, that's why we like our lifestyle. But we explained to the kids that daddy's got to go and work for this money. So, you know, she's starting to understand. We've got to work for money.
So the way my husband used to bribe my eldest, was saying every time she comes back, he buys her gifts. And she thinks he goes to this big fancy place to get gifts, but he just gets them from the airport. And it's just like a packet of salt and vinegar chips or beef jerky and a packet of balloons. And she loses her mind. She's like, Daddy, when are you going again? I can't wait for my next present. And it's the little things that gives them something exciting to look forward to. It's not Dad. He's not exciting to come home to. But yeah, she's looking forward to the little treats that he brings.
Yeah.
So what do you do with your time when hubby is away?
Yeah, so when he's away, that's when I do most of my socializing. I am pretty social. So I actually love that time we're so busy when he's home, and it's kind of like he's a surfer. We're at the beach all day. I'm just like exhausted by the time he goes back from just being, you know what it's like. We can't keep on top of the housework and stuff when we're out all day. And that's one thing I probably struggle with. It is like a holiday when he's at home. Yeah, and it's, it's more eating out, it's more drinking, it's all that kind of thing. So I like my routine, and I do more work. So I work for myself. I've had my own business for 4.5 years. And when he's away, I love to really, sink my teeth into what I'm doing and just have our own little thing going on. I can eat soup for dinner, like if that's what I want to do. We eat so much meat when they're home. It's just...
Yeah, that's true. And then when they are back, it's then trying to fit in all the friends that he needs to see as well, the family, and then it's just such a balancing act. And I do find myself eating out a lot more when they are back, because you want to catch up with friends, and it's easy just to go out and go there and eat. But yeah, so it is a great balancing act that I think we've all managed to get on top of. Yeah, I think maybe. But it's all a learning curve, and I guess we, as FIFO wives, are flexible, and we just go with whatever is thrown at us.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So what do you love most about the industry? What do you think the biggest benefits are for you and your family?
Yeah, so I love
dining.
I love the lifestyle that we've got. I love the fact that he, like the girls have talked about, they get quality time when they're at home, real quality time as a family. So not like, a lot of 9 to 5 work where you just get that limited time in the evening and maybe sometime on the weekends. Like, to me, that's not living.
That ain't living, Barry.
That's not living. And, I love usually when you can travel, like when he's home, we can just take off and go. We've got a property up north, or we go down south, we can just take off for a few nights, or, we used to just go to Bali or head over east. We've got family on the East Coast. Whatever it might be, like that's what I really love about FIFO, is that flexibility. And he gets really looked after. The site that he's on, they feed them really well. They're always doing extra events, and they really look after their workers, which is great too.
That's good. It's always good when they're an appreciated employee, because it makes it easier at work, and it also makes it easy on the family as well, because they're not frustrated and angry, and they're just happy, and positivity radiates positivity. And like Mish was saying, having a positive mindset definitely helps you get through anything that's thrown at you. So it's good that he has a great environment out there. Does he struggle with anything out there, or is everything pretty cruisy? Even you guys, what do you guys think you struggle with most?
So I think, just maybe our goals got too big, and we, like I sort of mentioned before, we were trying to, like, my idea of me working was so that I could work from home, be a stay-at-home mum. I'm an online health coach. I've been doing it since my little girl was 1, to start building a foundation for my business so that, eventually I can retire my husband. That was the goal. So he's been trying to work. We've bought other properties in the process and running another business in accommodation, and just trying to get to that big goal maybe too quick in the process. We went out a bit burnt out, and mentally he's been struggling at work. And I think he's just been at that site since, he was there for construction. He's like Mish, he's an electrician as well. So he worked construction there, and he's been at that mine site for a few years. And, it's just like, I think he's just ready for a bit of a sea change maybe. Just doing the same thing since he was early 20s, and he's now nearing 40. So it's, I think it's the struggle of, maybe he thinks the grass is greener on the other side, but it might not be. But I guess we just have to,
try and see what happens. It might turn out to be fake grass, but it might be some beautiful buffalo grass. You never know. So you just got to give it a go.
That's
but has he And we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but has he reached out to anyone in regards to kind of the mental state that he's in?
He did. He spoke to a supervisor, and I think someone touched on it before, and it's so important for us to communicate, because I didn't realise how bad of a place he was in, because I was ending up burnt out myself with adrenal fatigue from just like trying to do way too much when he was away, working till like late at night and silly stuff, not looking after me. But he, sort of kept quiet, and I think it's a part of our culture too. She'll be right. It's just they've got to get on with it, and they don't want to be victimized or isolated and had the finger pointed at them more. So they do just, I guess a lot of them keep quiet about it for a while, and then he just sort of, I said, you need to speak up and speak to your supervisor. And as soon as he did, they came to the party and they said, okay, here's a couple of options for you. So at the moment he's just having leave, and we'll see how long it goes for. And but it's great that they came back and said, here's a couple of options. We don't want to lose you as a worker. So it's been really good. I think he's felt the support a lot since he, spoke to them.
That's great that they've done that for him. I think it's hard to find good workers, and he's been with them for so long. So that's probably the best thing for them to do, is to accommodate his needs and really be there for him. So you run a Fifo Wives group down in Margaret River?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's exciting.
So I, just being down at the parks and stuff here in Margaret River, like you'd always meet new mums, and I kept meeting mums that had moved to town, and they're like, yeah, we've just moved here. I don't know anyone. My husband's gone straight to work. So they're just, kind of being dumped in a place from somewhere foreign. And
Beautiful
I was
place.
like, wow. Yeah, I was just like, wow, we need to bring these women together. And, I sort of thought about mums groups, and ever since I had my first little girl, I know there's a lot. You've got to put yourself out there, don't you? Like in that time, it's a new life for us. And so I kind of wanted to bring people together. So I just created a Facebook group, and it was a Margaret River Fifo mums group. And, we would do catch-ups, but it wasn't super regular. And now we've got a couple of other mums that, want to make it more of a community, and we're doing fortnightly catch-ups. And it's nice for people to know that there's a place to come and they can meet new people as well.
Yeah,
if they
especially
want
like-minded people that actually know and can relate to what's going on in that Fifo Wives kind of realm. But you attended our launch in Margaret River, so that's where I met you. That was a fun little launch put on by one of our authors, Taz. So have you finished reading the book yet?
No, I haven't, but it's 2021. I had this thing, and I was not buying another book until I'd finished the book that I'm reading. And I'm really close to finishing the book that I'm on, because I'm so excited to read your book. And I bought it from Taz, and I said, I've got to buy the book and I've got to read it. But even just, so it's next on my list. I will give you some feedback. But
I will follow this up with you.
But even just being at the launch and hearing the different stories, I loved hearing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not always expensive flash cars and boating and beach days and wineries and holidays. It's not always like that. I think it's good to hear the dark side as well, and that it is really hard for people, because even a lot of our friends here that just work locally, they're kind of like, you're just rich, and it's not like that. Like there's so many sacrifices that are made to have this life. So
exactly. And that's what we wanted to highlight with the book as well. We wanted to debunk all these myths and misconceptions that everyone has in the Fifo industry. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I am coming down actually to Margaret River again soon, so I will message you.
Awesome. Love that.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Next, lucky last, we have Beck. Could you please unmute your video?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yay, we can hear you. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. How long have you been a Fifo wife, and what industry are you guys in?
So we've been together 2.5 years. He's been Fifo for like 10, 11 years. So well before I met him. And we're a little different. We're a blended family. So I've got 2 kids. He's got 2 kids. He's in civil construction. and he's usually on a 3-in-1 roster.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks away, 1 week home, but a day's travel either way. So he's usually only home for 5 days.
Okay. Wow. Do you feel ripped off?
Yeah, definitely. Some weeks you just go, really? Can I just have that extra day or two?
Yeah.
So we have my two, they're 9 and 10. We've got them week on, week off with their dad. And we have his girls when he's home, basically. So maybe 2 days a month.
Yeah. So as a blended family, do the kids, are they ever there at the same time? Or is it easier to,
We try with COVID lately. So he's up in Northern Territory and we're in New South Wales.
Yeah.
So he cannot get back to work. He's been home for almost 9 weeks now.
And you're counting?
Yeah. No, so the kids have had a lot of good time together and he's had a lot of quality time together with his kids.
Yeah. Good catch up.
Yeah, but it makes, because I work as well and I'm studying pretty much full time. So there's not a lot of time to try and squeeze in, even when he is home, to try and squeeze in that quality time together.
Yeah. So how did you find adjusting to the FIFO life?
Yeah, for me, it was a huge adjustment, but it's been really great. I get that time to sort of spend on my own and hang out with my girlfriends and socialize and fill my cup. And then just as I start to miss him, he's ready to come home.
Yeah, it's good timing. And you also, because you're juggling uni, the kids, two sets of kids really, and him, social life. How are you managing it all? What's your best tip you could give to those doing the same thing as you?
Basically, be organized. Like I have lists and diaries, and that is how a good list is how I keep my life running, because my brain is a sieve. If it's not written down, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Agree. I have to-do lists for my to-do lists.
Yeah.
And each list has a list within that list.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly. But yeah, so the longest stint that we had was last COVID, actually, when it all first hit. Then he was working in South Australia. So we had 12 weeks apart, I think 13 weeks apart at that point, and that was still quite fresh in our relationship. So that was a bit tricky. And we bought a house in the middle of all of that.
Of course.
Yeah. Why not add some more crazy to the mix, right? Yeah, so basically it's just all the balls in the air at the moment, keeping them up there. And because if I feel like, for myself, if one drops, it's all going to drop.
Yeah. So how do the kids take it every time he leaves?
My two get quite upset because he's here for that full time that they're here. And they see that I get upset, so then they get upset because I'm upset. But communication, we're pretty good with that. Thank God for FaceTime.
If they have reception, if they have Wi-Fi out there.
Well, this time we're pretty lucky up Northern Territory, but when he was in Central Queensland at Adani, they were the first ones out there. They were building the site, doing the initial works. So we had zero reception there, and that was trying.
Yeah. Gorge. Okay. So what would you say that you love most about the FIFO lifestyle, apart from obviously what we've already been chatting about, the quality time that we have with them? What else would you say is a great benefit of the FIFO lifestyle?
Like, the quality time is the biggest thing. Like, when he's home, he is home and 100% home. There's no work, there's nothing else. So we try and fit that in around everything that I've got going on. But it's also given us the means to be able to have the things that we do have. Like, we were able to buy the house in the midst of COVID when everyone else was worrying about jobs. Like, that job security was there. I work in hospitality and the motel industry. So like, that was so up in, even now, like, you just don't know, that uncertainty is not there. Whereas we know with his role, there's always going to be something, there's always work, and yeah, he's pretty much secure in his job no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you guys planning on staying in the industry for a lifetime? Do you have a goal, an exit plan?
We have a 10-year plan.
How many years are we in now again? Over 2 years?
Yeah, so our 10-year plan is I'll finish my degree, so finish my nursing,
Yep.
Get a bit of emergency department experience, and then we'll go traveling together. So even if he stays FIFO, I can also be FIFO once the kids have finished school.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I think your borders are opening soon. We're not traveling anywhere, are we, WA girls?
Well, our borders
aren't
never
opening for probably
closed.
10 years.
New South Wales never closed. It's just everyone that's close to us.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Lucky for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So no, I really feel for everyone who hasn't seen their partners for months,
Yeah, it's been
and not being
week.
able to travel and relocating for work. It's not easy on any of us.
Yeah. So is he based in New South Wales as well?
No, so he's Northern Territory.
Oh yeah. Yep,
that's why he's stuck. That's why he's stuck at home at the moment. We're trying every avenue to get him back up there, but yeah, for now we're just enjoying this time. This is actually the longest stint of time we've spent together since we've been together.
Yeah, that's great. That's nice.
And we're still smiling. We're still talking, so that's always a plus, right?
He's still in the same bed as me.
Yeah, for now.
So what would you say is the biggest hurdle, I guess, then, with the FIFO lifestyle when he is away, or even when he's back? What would you say is the biggest thing you guys struggle with?
I don't have a huge support network here, so it's luckily I have the kids week on, week off, so I do have their dad has them on that off week, and that's when I try and arrange anything that I can't drag them along to. My dad's about 45 minutes away, so if I ever got super stuck, he's there. But yeah, that support network and trying to keep things running and finding time, trying to find some time for me, it can be really hard sometimes.
Yeah. So do you think that because when you started dating him, he wasn't FIFO yet, was he?
No, he was.
He was? Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think having so your previous relationship, for example, was he in FIFO?
No, so he was 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And
so
every Saturday. So
comparing both lifestyle wise, not the man, the lifestyle.
I actually prefer the FIFO lifestyle because not only do I get his whole time, but the kids do as well.
Yeah.
And we're all benefiting from it. It's just been the best thing.
Yeah. And so how long so obviously he's been doing FIFO before his kids were born, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't know any different. So
they don't know any different. They're used to it. It's I think it was more of a shock for my two, not having someone there all the time, and sometimes it's just mum. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah. Oh, bless.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you want to chat about anything else while we have a couple of minutes left?
I think that pretty much covers it. I just, anyone can do it if you put your mind to it. And, we all have 1,000 things going on behind the scenes. No one's got it any worse off than or better off than anybody else. Everyone's got their own struggles. And that's probably.
Absolutely. That was beautiful.
That's my little thing.
Well, yes, I love it.
Guys.
Well, thanks for joining us, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you had fun. We're back again for day 3. But yeah, don't forget to follow us on our socials. If you haven't grabbed our book yet, you can jump online and grab our book. There's over 20 authors that have written in this book, and they share their deepest, darkest emotions, stories. It's raw, it's real, it's good, it's bad, and it's really ugly, but it's just a beautiful compilation of stories, and we're super proud of it, and we hope you enjoy it. But thank you again, everyone.
Bye, guys.